The galaxy had always been a place of wonder and peril, a vast expanse where civilizations rose and fell like the tides on an alien shore. In this realm, the Galactic Empire reigned supreme, a monolithic power that stretched its tendrils across countless star systems. Yet amidst their dominance, whispers of rebellion and defiance echoed through the cosmos. On a remote, desolate planet, far from the heart of the Empire's control, a secret lay buried beneath the ice and rock. This was Cryos, a forgotten world shrouded in perpetual frost, where the only signs of life were the occasional flickers of ancient technology deep beneath its surface. Here, hidden from prying eyes, was the last refuge of humanity's most potent weapon, the super soldiers. The super soldiers were a relic of a bygone era, a time when humanity had dared to challenge the might of the Empire. Genetically enhanced and cybernetically augmented, they were warriors of unparalleled strength and skill, designed to be the ultimate defenders of human freedom. But as the Empire's grip tightened, the tide of war turned against humanity. With their forces decimated and their resources dwindling, the leaders of the resistance made a fateful decision. The super soldiers were placed in cryo-sleep, hidden away with the hope that one day they might rise again to fight for a free galaxy. Centuries passed. The galaxy moved on, and the super soldiers became little more than a legend, a ghost story told in hushed tones by those who still dreamed of freedom. The Empire, believing their threat extinguished, continued its reign unchallenged. But the galaxy is a place of endless possibilities, and fate has a way of unearthing what is meant to be forgotten. The catalyst for their awakening came in the form of a tragedy. On a small colony world on the fringes of the Empire's domain, a brutal crackdown on a group of dissidents led to the death of a child. The boy, no more than 6 years old, was caught in the crossfire of an Imperial raid, his life extinguished in an instant of violence and chaos. The child's death sent shockwaves through the colony, igniting a spark of outrage and sorrow that resonated far beyond the planet's surface. Unbeknownst to the Empire, the boy's family was connected to an ancient network of resistance fighters. They were the descendants of those who had once fought alongside the super soldiers, keepers of the old ways and the old secrets. Among their most guarded treasures was the knowledge of Cryos and the means to access its hidden depths. Driven by grief and a thirst for justice, the boy's father, Elias, embarked on a perilous journey. He knew the risks, understood the slim chances of success, but his resolve was unshakable. Armed with nothing but his wits and the coordinates passed down through generations, he set out to awaken the last hope of humanity. Cryos was as inhospitable as the legend suggested. Elias's ship, a battered relic from an earlier time, shuddered as it breached the planet's atmosphere. The cold was relentless, seeping into every crevice and threatening to freeze the ship's systems solid. But Elias persevered, navigating through the storm of ice and wind until he reached the coordinates etched into his mind since childhood. The entrance to the underground facility was concealed beneath layers of ice and rock, hidden from view by centuries of accumulation. Elias's heart pounded as he approached, the weight of history and destiny pressing down on him. He activated the ancient beacon, a pulse of energy that resonated through the ice, triggering mechanisms long dormant. The ground trembled, and a passage slowly opened before him, revealing a dark, yawning tunnel leading deep into the planet's crust. Elias took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead, and stepped into the darkness. The facility's interior was a stark contrast to the frozen wasteland outside. It was a labyrinth of sleek, metallic corridors, illuminated by the soft glow of long dormant lights flickering to life. As Elias ventured deeper, he could feel the presence of something monumental, something waiting to be unleashed. Finally, he reached the heart of the facility, the cryo chamber. Rows upon rows of capsules lined the walls, each containing a slumbering warrior preserved in a state of perfect stasis. Elias approached the control panel, his hands trembling with a mix of fear and anticipation. He entered the activation codes, a sequence of commands that would bring the super soldiers back from the brink of oblivion. The chamber hummed to life, and the capsules began to thaw. One by one, the super soldiers awoke, their eyes snapping open as they took their first breaths in centuries. They emerged from their pods, towering figures of muscle and metal, their expressions a mixture of confusion and determination. Elias stood before them, feeling dwarfed by their presence. He took a step forward, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions within him. "Welcome back," he said. "The galaxy needs you once more. The Empire has taken everything from us. But with your help, we can fight back. We can reclaim our freedom." The super soldiers exchanged glances, their memories slowly returning. They remembered the war, the fall, and the long, cold sleep that followed. And now, they understood their purpose once more. One of the super soldiers, a woman with a stern, commanding presence, stepped forward. Her name was Captain Celine, a name that still carried weight and respect among her peers. "We will fight," she declared, her voice resonating with the power of 1,000 battles. "For the child, and for all those who have suffered under the Empire's tyranny, we will rise, and we will make them pay." The super soldiers, the last hope of a galaxy yearning for freedom, had awakened, and with them, a new chapter in the struggle against the Galactic Empire began. The awakening of the super soldiers was only the beginning. As they shook off the remnants of their centuries-long slumber, the gravity of their situation settled in. Captain Celine, her sharp eyes scanning the room, quickly assessed the state of her comrades. Each one of them was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, but the world they had known was long gone, and they needed to adapt quickly. Celine turned to Elias, who stood at the control panel, his determination evident despite the cold and the daunting task ahead. "We need to know everything," she said, her voice commanding and steady. "What has happened since we were put to sleep? What is the current state of the galaxy, and how strong is the Empire now?" Elias nodded, taking a deep breath. "After you were placed in cryo-sleep, the Resistance continued to fight, but without your strength we were slowly crushed. The Empire expanded its reach, and any opposition was ruthlessly eliminated. They installed governors in every major system, and their fleet patrols the space lanes, enforcing their rule with an iron fist. The colonies are under constant surveillance, and any sign of rebellion is met with overwhelming force." Celine's jaw tightened. "And the child? The one whose death brought us back?" Elias's eyes darkened. "My son. His death was the breaking point for many. It galvanized the scattered remnants of the Resistance. But we need more than just anger and sorrow. We need power, strategy, and hope. That's why I came to find you." The super soldiers, now fully awake and cognizant, gathered around. Each one was a living weapon, a beacon of hope in a galaxy shrouded in darkness. Celine looked at her team, their faces a mixture of old scars and new determination. "We'll need to gather intelligence," she said, thinking aloud. "Understand the Empire's current strengths and weaknesses. We'll also need to connect with any remaining resistance cells. We can't fight this war alone." Elias stepped forward. "I can help with that. There are still networks in place, secret channels used by the Resistance. They're fragmented, but if we can unite them, we might stand a chance." Celine nodded. "Then that's our first mission. Elias, you'll be our guide. We need to reach these networks, rally them to our cause, and begin the process of rebuilding our forces. Time is of the essence." The super soldiers quickly gathered what equipment they could find within the facility. The old armory, though dusty and neglected, still housed a cache of advanced weaponry and armor. Each soldier suited up, the familiar weight of their gear a comforting reminder of their purpose. As they armed themselves, Elias transmitted a series of encrypted messages through the Resistance channels, informing the scattered cells of their plan. The journey from Cryos to the nearest inhabited system was fraught with danger. The Empire's patrols were relentless, and the icy planet's location was perilously close to several key Imperial strongholds. Using an ancient but functional Resistance ship, the team departed, their minds focused on the mission ahead. Their destination was Haven, a mid-sized planet on the edge of the Empire's control. Once a bustling hub of trade and commerce, it had been reduced to a shadow of its former self under Imperial rule. The resistance there had been particularly strong, but recent purges had left it fractured and in disarray. As they approached Haven, Celine and her team prepared for a covert landing. The planet's surface was monitored by Imperial drones and patrolled by Loyalist forces. Elias guided the ship to a hidden entrance used by smugglers and resistance fighters, a narrow canyon that provided cover from the prying eyes above. The ship landed smoothly, and the team disembarked, moving swiftly through the canyon towards a hidden base carved into the rock. As they entered the base, they were met by a group of wary resistance fighters. Weapons were drawn, but Elias stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "It's me, Elias," he said, his voice steady. "I've brought help." The leader of the resistance cell, a grizzled veteran named Joran, stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he took in the sight of the super soldiers. "Help," he echoed, skepticism heavy in his tone. "We need more than just help. We need a miracle." Celine stepped forward, her presence commanding immediate attention. "We are that miracle," she said. "We are the super soldiers awakened from cryo sleep. We are here to reignite the fight against the Empire, but we can't do it alone. We need your support, your resources, and your commitment." Joran studied her for a long moment before nodding slowly. "All right, let's see what you can do. But know this, the Empire is stronger than ever. They've tightened their grip on Haven, and any sign of resistance is met with swift and brutal retaliation." Celine's gaze was unwavering. "Then we hit them where it hurts. We gather intelligence, sabotage their operations, and rally the people. We remind them that there is still hope, that the fight is not over." The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. The super soldiers, alongside the resistance fighters, conducted a series of covert operations. They sabotaged supply lines, disrupted communications, and carried out daring raids on Imperial facilities. Each success, no matter how small, breathed new life into the resistance. Word of their actions spread quickly, and soon other resistance cells began to reach out, eager to join forces with the legendary warriors. The tide was slowly turning, but Celine knew they needed more than just scattered victories. They needed a plan to strike at the heart of the Empire. During one of their missions, they captured an Imperial officer. Under interrogation, he revealed the location of a crucial Imperial communications hub, a facility that coordinated the movements of the Empire's fleet in the sector. Destroying it would deal a significant blow to the Empire's control over the region. The plan was set. Under the cover of darkness, Celine led her team to the hub. It was heavily fortified, but the super soldiers' advanced capabilities gave them the edge they needed. They moved with precision and efficiency, neutralizing guards and bypassing security systems. As they planted charges throughout the facility, Celine's mind raced. This was just the beginning. The fight against the Empire would be long and arduous, but they had taken the first steps towards reclaiming their galaxy. The charges detonated in a series of powerful explosions, and the communications hub was reduced to rubble. The victory was a significant one, but Celine knew it was just one of many battles to come. As they returned to the hidden base on Haven, Celine addressed her team and the assembled resistance fighters. "This is just the beginning," she said, her voice carrying the weight of conviction and hope. "The Empire has taken much from us, but we will fight. We will reclaim our freedom no matter the cost. Together we will rise, and the galaxy will remember the strength and spirit of humanity." The room erupted in cheers, the fire of rebellion burning brightly in their hearts. The super soldiers had awakened, and with them, a new era of resistance had begun. The destruction of the Imperial communications hub on Haven marked a turning point in the Resistance's struggle. Word of the super soldiers' return spread like wildfire, igniting hope in the hearts of countless oppressed beings across the galaxy. Celine knew they had to capitalize on this momentum, but she also understood the need for careful planning and strategic alliances. In the days that followed, Haven became a bustling center of resistance activity. Fighters from nearby systems flocked to the planet, bringing with them stories of Imperial cruelty and the burning desire for freedom. The super soldiers, now firmly established as leaders within the movement, worked tirelessly to organize and train these new recruits. Celine and Elias stood in the command center of the hidden base, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. The room was filled with the hum of machinery and the soft chatter of resistance operatives coordinating their efforts. A large holographic map of the sector hovered in the center of the room, displaying the locations of Imperial strongholds and resistance cells. "Elias," Celine said, her eyes fixed on the map, "we need to form a coalition. Scattered cells won't be enough to challenge the Empire's might. We need to unite the various factions under a single banner." Elias nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I agree, but it's not going to be easy. Many of these groups have been fighting alone for so long they might be wary of joining forces. There's also a lot of bad blood between some of them." Celine turned to him, her gaze steady. "That's where we come in. The super soldiers are a symbol of hope and unity. We need to reach out to these factions, show them that we're serious about this fight, and convince them that together we can achieve what we never could alone." Their first target was the planet of Alaris, a lush world known for its dense forests and rich biodiversity. It was also home to one of the largest and most well-organized resistance groups, the Alarian Front. Led by a charismatic and shrewd leader named Zara, the Alarian Front had managed to maintain a significant degree of autonomy despite the Empire's efforts to crush them. Celine, Elias, and a small team of super soldiers set out for Alaris, their ship navigating through the dense asteroid belt that surrounded the planet. As they descended into the atmosphere, they marveled at the sprawling forests and glittering lakes that dotted the landscape. The Alarian Front's base was hidden deep within the forest, protected by layers of natural and artificial defenses. As the ship landed in a concealed clearing, they were met by a group of Alarian fighters, their faces painted with the distinctive green and brown camouflage of the forest. Zara emerged from the group, her presence commanding and her eyes sharp with intelligence. She was a tall woman with a lithe, muscular build, her dark hair tied back in a braid. She studied Celine and her team with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Captain Celine," Zara said, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "I've heard stories of your exploits. The super soldiers, back from the dead. It's hard to believe." Celine stepped forward, extending a hand. "Believe it, Zara. We're here to unite the resistance. We can't defeat the Empire alone, but together we stand a chance." Zara considered her words for a moment before clasping Celine's hand. "Very well. Let's talk." Inside the Alarian base, the air was filled with the scent of pine and damp earth. The main hall was a hive of activity, with fighters preparing for upcoming missions and strategists poring over maps and data. Zara led Celine and her team to a secluded conference room where they could speak in private. As they sat around a wooden table, Celine laid out their plan. "The Empire is vast and powerful, but it's not invincible. We've already struck a significant blow on Haven, but we need more coordinated efforts. We propose forming a coalition of resistance groups across the galaxy, sharing resources, intelligence, and strategies. With our combined strength, we can hit the Empire where it hurts." Zara listened intently, her fingers tapping thoughtfully on the table. "You're right. Alone, we're vulnerable. Together, we're a force to be reckoned with. But forming a coalition won't be easy. There are deep-seated rivalries and distrust among the factions. We'll need to mediate and build bridges." Elias leaned forward. "We have contacts within many of these groups. If we can get key leaders to endorse the coalition, others will follow. We need a council, representatives from each faction, to coordinate our efforts." Zara nodded slowly. "It's a bold plan, but it has potential. I'll support you and help bring others on board. But we need to act quickly. The Empire won't sit idle while we gather our forces." With Zara's support secured, Selena and her team returned to Haven, where they began reaching out to other resistance groups. Messages were sent through encrypted channels, and soon, representatives from various factions started arriving on the planet. Among them were the Valtorian Marauders, known for their hit-and-run tactics, the Free Rydorians, a group of fiercely independent fighters from the desert world of Rydor, and the Etherian Collective, a technologically advanced society that had resisted the Empire's attempts to assimilate them. The leaders of these factions gathered in Haven's command center, a tense silence filling the room as they sized each other up. Celine stood before them, her presence commanding attention. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "We face a common enemy, one that has oppressed and subjugated our people for far too long. The Empire's strength lies in its ability to divide and conquer. But together, we can turn the tide. We propose the formation of the Galactic Resistance Council, a united front against the Empire." There were murmurs of agreement, but also skepticism. A leader from the Valtorian Marauders, a grizzled veteran named Kale, spoke up. "We've all fought the Empire in our own ways, but unity? It's easier said than done. How do we know we can trust each other?" Zara stepped forward, her voice calm and persuasive. "Trust is built through action. We've seen what the super soldiers can do. Their presence alone has reignited hope. But we must show that we're committed to this alliance. We need to start with a joint operation, something that proves our strength and solidarity." Celine nodded. "Agreed. We have intelligence on an Imperial weapons depot on the planet of Thalos. It's a critical supply point for their forces in this sector. If we can take it out, it will cripple their operations and send a strong message." The room buzzed with excitement and determination. Plans were quickly drawn up, and teams were formed. The operation would involve a multi-pronged assault, with each faction playing a crucial role. The super soldiers would lead the charge, using their advanced combat skills to breach the depot's defenses, while the Valtorian Marauders and Free Rydorians provided support and diversionary tactics. The Etherian Collective would handle the technical aspects, hacking into the depot's systems to disable security measures and sabotage the weaponry. As the preparations were finalized, Celine addressed the assembled fighters. "This mission is more than just a tactical strike. It's a statement. We are no longer isolated and fragmented. We are united, and we will fight together. The Empire's days are numbered." The journey to Thalos was swift and uneventful, the Resistance fleet moving under the cover of darkness. As they approached the planet, the teams synchronized their movements, ready to execute the plan with precision. The battle that followed was fierce and intense. The super soldiers led the charge, their enhanced abilities allowing them to cut through the depot's defenses with ease. Explosions rocked the facility as the Valtorian Marauders and Free Rydorians launched coordinated attacks, drawing the enemy's attention and providing crucial support. The Etherian Collective's hackers worked tirelessly, disabling security systems and planting viruses that rendered the depot's weaponry useless. In the midst of the chaos, Celine fought with unmatched ferocity, her every move calculated and deadly. She could see the determination in the eyes of her comrades, their resolve strengthened by the presence of their allies. As the battle reached its climax, the depot's main reactor was overloaded, resulting in a massive explosion that lit up the night sky. The mission was a resounding success. The depot lay in ruins, and the Resistance had proven their strength and unity. As they regrouped and tended to their wounded, the mood was one of triumph and renewed hope. Back on Haven, the leaders of the newly formed Galactic Resistance Council convened once more. The success of the Thalos operation had solidified their alliance, and plans were made for future strikes against the Empire. The super soldiers, now fully integrated into the Resistance command structure, played a central role in these discussions, their experience and tactical acumen invaluable. Celine stood before the council, her voice strong and unwavering. "We've taken the first steps towards reclaiming our galaxy, but the road ahead is long and fraught with danger. The Empire will not take this lightly. They will retaliate and they will try to crush us. But we are ready, we are united, and we will fight until the last star burns out." The council members nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. The gathering storm was upon them, but they were prepared to face it head-on. The super soldiers had awakened, and with them, a new era of resistance had begun. The fight for freedom was just beginning, and the galaxy would soon know the true strength and spirit of those who dared to defy the Empire. The Galactic Resistance Council's victory at Thalos was a beacon of hope, but it also drew the full wrath of the Empire. The Emperor, a figure shrouded in mystery and fear, declared all-out war on the resistance. The Council knew that their next move would be critical. They had to strike at the heart of the Empire before it could marshal its forces for a devastating counterattack. Selene, Elias, and the other leaders of the resistance convened in a secret bunker deep within Haven's forests. A holographic display showed the layout of the Imperial capital, a fortress world named Dominion. It was heavily fortified, its defenses considered impregnable. Selene stood before the gathered leaders, her expression resolute. "We have one chance to end this. The Imperial capital is our target. If we can take down their central command and eliminate the Emperor, we can dismantle the Empire from within. It's a high-risk mission, but it's our best shot at victory." Zara, now one of Selene's closest allies, nodded in agreement. "We've come this far. The people are ready to fight. We just need to give them the opportunity to strike a decisive blow." Kale, the grizzled leader of the Valtorian marauders, leaned forward. "Our intel suggests that the Emperor rarely leaves the Central Palace. It's the most secure location on Dominion. But if we can get inside, we can end this war." Elias activated another holographic display, showing a detailed map of Dominion's defenses. "We've identified a weakness. The palace's power supply is routed through a network of underground tunnels. If we can infiltrate those tunnels and plant explosives, we can disable their defenses long enough to launch a full-scale assault." The plan was set. The resistance would divide into 3 teams. One to infiltrate the tunnels and plant the explosives, one to create a diversion by attacking key military installations, and the final team, led by Selene, to storm the palace and confront the Emperor. The journey to Dominion was perilous. The Resistance fleet navigated through enemy patrols and asteroid fields, their every move shrouded in secrecy. As they approached the capital, the tension was palpable. The fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. Under the cover of night, the teams deployed. The infiltration team, led by Elias, moved swiftly through the underground tunnels, avoiding detection and planting the charges with precision. The diversion team, composed of the Valtorian marauders and free Rhydorians, launched a series of daring attacks, drawing the Imperial forces away from the palace. Selene and her strike team advanced towards the palace, their path cleared by the chaos unfolding across the city. As they reached the palace gates, the explosives detonated, plunging the fortress into darkness. The palace's defenses faltered, giving the resistance the opening they needed. Inside the palace, Selene and her team fought their way through wave after wave of Imperial guards. The corridors echoed with the sounds of blaster fire and the clash of steel. The super soldiers, their advanced combat skills honed to perfection, cut through the enemy with relentless precision. At last, they reached the throne room. The massive doors swung open, revealing the Emperor seated on his throne. He was a tall, imposing figure, his face hidden behind a dark, ornate mask. His eyes, cold and calculating, regarded Selene with a mixture of disdain and amusement. "So the fabled super soldiers have returned," the Emperor said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Do you really think you can overthrow the Empire?" Selene stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "The Empire's time is over. Your reign of terror ends now." The Emperor rose, drawing a long, curved blade. "We'll see about that." The battle that followed was fierce and brutal. Selene and the Emperor clashed in a whirlwind of strikes and counterstrikes, their movements a blur of speed and power. The super soldiers held off the remaining guards, giving Selene the space she needed to face the Emperor one-on-one. With a final powerful strike, Selene disarmed the Emperor, his blade clattering to the floor. She held her weapon at his throat, her eyes blazing with determination. "It's over," she said, her voice steady. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps. But know this. The Empire is more than just one man. Even if you kill me, others will rise to take my place." Selene's grip tightened on her weapon. "Maybe. But as long as there's breath in my body, I'll fight to ensure that never happens." With a swift motion, she ended the Emperor's life. The throne room fell silent, the weight of their victory settling over them. The reign of the Galactic Empire was over. As news of the Emperor's death spread, the resistance across the galaxy rose up, overthrowing imperial governors and liberating enslaved worlds. The Galactic Resistance Council, now the de facto leaders of the Free Galaxy, began the arduous task of rebuilding and healing the wounds of war. On Haven, a massive celebration erupted. The people cheered and wept, their joy and relief palpable. Celine stood on a makeshift stage, addressing the crowd. Elias, Zara, Kale, and the other leaders stood beside her, their faces filled with pride and hope. "This victory belongs to all of us," Celine said, her voice carrying over the crowd. "We have shown that unity and determination can overcome even the greatest of tyrannies. But our work is not done. We must ensure that freedom and justice are restored to every corner of the galaxy. Together, we will build a future where no one lives in fear, and where every being can live in peace and prosperity." The crowd erupted in cheers, the sound echoing across the liberated planet. The fight had been long and hard, but the spirit of humanity had prevailed. The super soldiers, once relics of a forgotten war, had become the harbingers of a new era. As the celebration continued, Celine looked out over the crowd, her heart filled with hope and determination. The galaxy had been given a second chance, and she vowed to protect it with everything she had. The stars above twinkled brightly, a testament to the endless possibilities that lay ahead. The war was over, but the journey of rebuilding and healing had just begun. And with the strength and unity of the Resistance, Celine knew that the future was brighter than ever.